Rising Tides Live, Mike Biseglia, Richard Liverman. We're filling in for Sean Walchef today. Sean is actually at the California Highway Patrol ceremony on a talking about storytelling and entrepreneurship.
He's not been done for speeding, has he? That would have been a much better story.
I don't believe so. But that means that the substitute teachers are in the house. So, Richard, it's great to see you. And you had an awesome idea for a topic. We were talking in the LinkedIn group chat, the Rising Tides Live LinkedIn group chat, and you were talking about the importance to support independent businesses. And I said, I love it. It'll be a fun topic. We see the group waiting down below on the stage. We'll bring them all up. So I'm excited to get into that with you, Richard. And, I have to say, I want to give a shout out to you as well, because, when I first joined the group and I started working at Cali BBQ, this is all the way back in October now. You always did such a great job in communicating with me and talking to me. And I feel like we had a good bond over basketball back and forth. And you make it very easy to just interact with, right? Like, feel like I've known you more than 7-8 months. It's very easy to speak with you. So, and if it's talking hoops, and now we'll be talking business, independent businesses, but it's great to be with you, Richard. Thank you for the idea. And I'm glad to be doing it with you, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. I think there's something really nice about building communities. And what's one of the nice things about Rising Tide is that's one of the things that we've done with this whole digital hospitality is we build a community. And what I like about today's topic is about, how we think about our local communities and how we support them. And it's really nice when you get to be a part of this. And there's a little bit where if you're listening, how can you participate, and just encourage people to jump on, ask questions, get involved, and, see where it takes you. And I think that's one of those things that we encourage in this community. And I think it's something that, I encourage my clients today. Where are these adventures going to take you? And, I look forward to one day coming to watch a game with you.
Yes. That will be a lot of fun. We'll do a Cavs Nets game in Brooklyn.
Oh, yes.
Could be a lot of fun. And as you mentioned, today's topic is about supporting independent businesses. And I'm really interested because it's like, you're across the pond in London. I'm in New Jersey, and obviously very different locations. But at the heart of it, Richard, it's like hospitality and that support. It doesn't matter where you are, where in the world. That all comes from the heart, and the core of that, kind of stems. Doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that I talk about a lot with my business, because I've worked on global brands and now I work on small businesses. And small businesses are at the heart of all of our communities. And the reason why I thought of this topic was I was on Instagram yesterday, and one of my favorite restaurants, and I've talked about them many times on this call, it's called Chicken and Sours in London, is closing. It's closing its 2 restaurants. They're going to run a ghost kitchen. They're going to do meal kits, and they'll still run the vans that go around the UK. And I love this brand. I love it. It's a small independent. And on a Sunday, they do a whole fried chicken. They fry a whole chicken, put sauce on it, and they've got this lovely brand, this lovely mantra. The food's fantastic. The service is decent. I mean, for an American, you probably complain about it a little bit because your standards are so much higher. From a British perspective, it's all right.
Right.
And I love this restaurant. I love it. Last time I ate there was probably February, March when I was in London. And I saw it was closing. And it just made me really sad. It made me really sad because there's people that are losing their jobs. They've got a great location in central London. That location will be filled. The other location in East London, I'm not so sure. And there's this little bit where we want this variety. We want a variety of different things. And within a 5-minute walk, they've got some global competitors, and very good global competitors. Right. But what I think is really interesting is, as a community, how could we do more to support those independents around us? And I don't just mean as businesses, I mean as consumers. So one of the questions I think we should ask everybody today, and I'm going to test it on you, Mike, like, what's your favorite independent restaurant near to you, and why do you love it?
Yeah, and I think what you said is so profound, Richard. When you were talking about that, I was thinking back to my childhood and just how many memories are made, especially in restaurants too, with local independent restaurants with family, and maybe it's not the greatest restaurant of all time, but
it's yours.
it's yours, and you think of those memories and everything there is so important. And
Yeah.
you know, like for me now, building new memories, I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and the first thing that's jumped in my mind is there's a restaurant in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey called On the Deck, and it's this beautiful little spot that overlooks the water, and you can see the skyline of New York City.
We need this in the chat in a minute. Okay, tell me more.
And for me, it's like they're so great with my kids there that I feel very comfortable when I go there. You know, I have a 4 and a 2-year-old, and they're good kids, but they're 4 and 2, so
Yeah,
you know they're not
menaces.
right. So they're going to do their thing. But the way they help the staff helps them there. The service is great. And everybody is so friendly. The food's good. You overlook the water, and you know, for me, I take myself into that moment, and it like de-stresses me. It makes me think of just being in a good place, and I think, you know, these great local businesses, independent businesses, do that for people. So when to pose your question, Richard, when I'm thinking about that, like I'm just thinking about how important it is, you know, when I go there and I'll overtip a little bit, and just knowing just how important that restaurant is for the community, I think is so great. And I obviously you know would love to hear if there's others from you, but yeah, like for me, like I take myself in that moment, and I can, if I'm feeling stressed, like I can feel my blood pressure go down a little bit.
And it's what's funny when you were talking about those memories, I was just thinking about the chicken and sours place. I've been there on hangovers. I've been there when I've had to, you know, do redundancies. I've been there with family. I've been there with very hungover friends, and it's always a laugh and a giggle. And I think with these places, you're absolutely right. The memories that we attach to them. I mean, look, if the food's great, that's a bonus. And I think what would be really great is everybody that comes up today, we want to know your favorite independent restaurants, and we will put it in the chat so other people can go find it. And I think I saw, and we'll come on to the bingo card, because we've actually sort of, I saw something on social media a couple of years ago about how can you support local independents and small businesses. And we've got lots and lots of great ways of doing that. And we'll share that as we go through the session. But I think there's something really important, like you said, about sharing it and why you like it, because that restaurant is not going to appeal to a retired couple wanting a quiet meal. But to other people with families, it sounds great. So what's your dish of choice? What's the best thing? If you were to take me there, would you be like, Rich, you've got to eat this?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, and it's a 2-part answer, which you're probably going to learn more about me than you ever had thought. But in the last year plus, I have I'm getting to why this will answer the question. But in the year plus, I have gotten terrible gout. My gout is out of control in my left ankle in particular, and I've realized the 2 things that cause my gout are shrimp, shellfish, any type of shellfish, and beer. And I love that is what I go there for.
No,
it is a curse to me, but I love having the mussels, the clams, the shrimps, and an ice cold beer is fantastic. But if in moderation, everything's good, but it will get my gout going, so I got to be careful. And I don't wish gout on my like worst enemy. It is so painful. But yeah, that would be the dish for me.
And I think that's the magic thing about independence. You know, when you find that little bit of magic, and you just want to go back over and over and over again. And there's a restaurant where I go and watch my football team, which is the Arsenal, and there is about a 10-minute walk from the ground. There's this fabulous Turkish restaurant called Yildiz. And I'll always go and meet my friends there, and we'll go and have a meal there before the game. And I'll order an Iskandar Adana, which is like lamb or chicken and tomato sauce, like a tomatoey sauce with a yogurt on top. And what they do is they grill the bread on top of the meat, so you get all of the kind of flavor of the charcoal, and the flavor is fantastic. And when I'm not going to game, if I'm in that part of London, I'll try and eat there. And I think there's something magic when you've got all of those memories. We always meet up there. There'll be a couple that will have Turkish beer. I'll always have a whiskey, and then that walk to the stadium. But it's one of those ones where more and more people have discovered it, and you don't have to book in advance. And I really like that, because what I love is when an independent becomes successful, and we still need to support them. And, you know, one of the things that we talk about is suggesting these places to your family and friends. It's such a simple thing. And I think back to that little Turkish restaurant. There's friends of mine that when they go to the game will now meet their friends there. And it's sort of become one of those places. Unfortunately, word of mouth is now a bit of a queue to get in there, which is both a positive and a negative. But, you know, sharing those things with friends and family, and we talk about storytelling all the time. You know, what are those little stories that you can pass on? And when you were talking about your restaurant, oh yeah, the staff, you know, they're not worried about a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. It just makes me feel good. That's a great recommendation.
Yeah, it definitely goes a long way. All right, let's bring up the rest of the group. So we've got a few people in the green room. I'll start trickling them in as I talk and left click at the same time. So thank you everybody for joining. And as Richard posed the question, when we go to your favorite restaurant or independent store, you know, and talk about why you love them. Richard, I'll hand it off to you and let you throw the baton around the room, and I'll keep an eye on who's below.
Thanks, Mike. And as people, if they've got an opportunity in the chat to post a link to their favorite place, that would be amazing. Bruce, welcome. Bruce, do you want to introduce yourself and let us know your favorite independent and any ideas and suggestions on how we can support these brilliant independents in our communities?
Certainly. Bruce Nelson. I am a CFO for restaurants. I am in the Twin Cities area, Minnesota. One of my favorite locals I'm tracking right now is a small little shop called Tono's Pizza and Cheesesteaks. And they haven't been around very long, but man, they have nailed individual pizzas, and their cheesesteak is out of the world. And I know there might be some people from Philly that would argue with me, but I've eaten a lot of them, and I like what they're doing. I'm just so happy we're talking about independence. I have a soft spot in my heart for independent restaurants. In fact, it's why I wrote this book a while ago, because in the 90s, I opened up a restaurant, and although we had celebrity chefs and, we had no communities like we have now. There were no podcasts. There was no place for us as operators to go get information and to learn how to do this. I'm a big supporter of this community and a way to get out in front of these independents and really help them succeed.
Bruce, I've got to ask if you put the link in the chat for the restaurant, but you've done it. Tell us about the book.
I wrote a book called Restaurant Management: The Myth, the Magic, the Math, and it's my journey in the restaurant business. I've been doing this for 45 years, but it really specifically talks about how I learned how to do the financial management of a restaurant. I had started out like a lot of us, as a dishwasher, as a cook, and then I started running restaurants, and even owned a couple of them, and nobody ever taught me how to do the finance. So this is kind of the hard knocks and what I learned as far as how to properly set up a restaurant for success.
Oh, that's great. And we talk about supporting independence, and one of them is like, if you can share knowledge. And I'd imagine, there's little bits of, I think there's something, when you run your own business, people expect you to know everything. And what's really interesting, when you work in a large corporate, there's somebody doing marketing, there's somebody doing supply chain, and all of these different things. And sometimes with the right independent, if you can share your expertise with them, it's a great way of supporting them.
Yes, I agree. It's hard to find, big corporations have guys like me, and they know how to set things up. And as an operator, you're not really taught how to do it. You're just told what you need to do. So there's a lot of people that dream of opening restaurants. In fact, every chef I've ever met dreams of opening their own restaurant.
Yeah.
But even though they're working for some big operations that are very successful, they're really not given the secrets as to why they're financially viable.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, from my perspective, I'm kind of I've learned a lot in the last year since starting at Cali BBQ, but I've always been in production and podcasting. And like in my mind, when things come together with, writing a script, recording a podcast, or, hiring voice actors, going into post-production, like I can segment all of it in my mind and it makes sense. I think about restaurants and it blows my mind to even fathom like how gathering ingredients, getting the staff, hours, bills, silver. I'm like, the amount of things, it feels like a podcast times a billion. And when I hear Brucey talking about stuff like that, like to help people, I can't even, for me, wrap my head around what that looks like from the top down. It just sounds daunting. And obviously, detail oriented and important to, to make sure restaurants can make money. It always blows my mind. Just blows my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these independents, they put their heart and their soul into opening a new restaurant. And it just crushes me when they don't succeed.
Yeah. And like I said, the reason for this room is this restaurant closing. It's been going for 10 years. And there's that little bit where we all know the challenges the industry face. And I agree with you, Bruce. I think a lot of it is understanding the finances. But I also think what as a community can we do to support these restaurants? And, how can we support these independents in our local communities? Because, as our good friend Jason Berkovich says, it's often people's first job they ever have, or the place where you go on your first date, or you go for those anniversary dinners. It's part of our community, or in Mike's case, where he goes with his family, or with my case, where we meet up before we go to the football. And I just think, how can we help these guys? How can we help them protect their heart and soul? Thank you very much, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
Yeah,
really interesting
you're welcome.
to hear. So I think we've got to ask Elizabeth in South Carolina, what is her favorite independent place? What does she do as a career? And how can she support and encourage and nurture these independents? So come on, Elizabeth, I'm going to South Carolina. Where are you taking me for dinner?
Oh, I do, and always take my out-of-town guests, and I would take you. There's a restaurant. It started in our kind of downtown area, like the bigger, but then they installed a satellite campus or spot in my town. They took over the old firehouse here, and it's called Chicora Alley. And I put the link on LinkedIn, but it's not populating over here, but you can check it out. Chicora Alley. There's a location in Greenville, South Carolina, and in Travelers Rest, South Carolina. The Travelers Rest one has outdoor seating, which I love. One thing I love about it is it makes me feel like I'm at the beach, even though I'm in the mountains. And the food they provide is like a fusion of Caribbean and Mexican. My favorite item on the menu is the jerk shrimp tacos, and they have a mango salsa on it with goat cheese, and it's incredible. I even buy
Elizabeth, you're making my mouth water. You can tell Sean's not here because we can say naughty things like that. That sounds amazing.
I buy a soup container of the mango salsa to take home, and then I get my own goat cheese and my own chips, and I make my own little nachos. By the way, try that at home if you can find a good mango salsa and some goat cheese and some chips. You will not regret it. So there's that. So how can I support them? Is your question. I did see the thing that you had posted earlier, and I will always say that even if you don't have the finances necessarily to always eat out right now, maybe you don't have the even if it's a boutique or like a shop that you love to go to, but you still want to support them, a great way to do that is on social media. So liking their posts, commenting on it. But if you really, really want to help someone out, then sharing their posts and saving their posts are where the algorithms are valuing engagement more. So something that I do is my mom and I kind of have this understanding that I'm going to share posts with her of local places, more so because I'm getting them a share than I am just wanting her. I mean, I want her to see it. That's fine. But yeah, so it's that idea of how can you talk about it and do it. And something, Richard, I've learned from you as well is even when I am talking about them, how can I tell the story of it rather than just the thing itself? So yes, I could just take a picture of my food and say, yummy, yummers. Or I could say, I wanted to take my mom out on a special day. So we went shopping, but I knew exactly where I wanted to go, and then tag their location. This is something that I will drill home. When you're tagging places on social media, don't just tag the location itself, because a lot of times these small business operators do not know to go out and look at the location tag. You need to also tag the account itself. That's two separate areas. Tag both. Tag the location, but also tag the account itself. So a lot of times before I post, if I am enjoying the meal or something, I'll go out and find out, okay, do they have social media? What's their handle? So that I can tag the handle as well as the location itself. My final thing that I wanted to mention to small owner operators, and I know this is a little bit, maybe I don't know exactly how this fits, but in getting a part of your community, I think it's important for you to start looking for places where you can show up. So the farmer's market, for instance, even as a small independent restaurant or small independent boutique, you can still purchase your table or your tent and show up in a place where people are gathering on Saturdays, especially here in the South. But like, I think Wednesday nights, sometimes there'll be farmers markets and stuff. And they're not just looking for farmers, they're looking for restaurants there because they want food that's already prepared to feed the peoples there. But there's also the boutiques and stuff. You can have a little pop-up shop, kind of deal. One other thing I wanted to throw out, because some of you got to meet my sister last week. She just got a really cool contract with one of the largest universities here in South Carolina to be a permitted catering and food truck for some of their events, et cetera, because they do a lot of concerts and other stuff like that, and they're in the arenas and things. But what I want to say to you is, if you're a small mom and pop shop, look for ways, because so it's with Clemson University. They're looking for local small businesses that they can partner with. While they do have their larger franchises and other things, just if there is a university near you, type in university and like catering permit or something like that. So if you are a small business and you want access to a larger audience, start to pay attention to the events that these places are hosting, and also all those things. So that was just a side tip. Anyway, back to you, Richard.
I love that. I think there's something about tagging those businesses in other opportunities, which is a great way of supporting those independents. But also from a marketing perspective, we often confuse marketing as this big, complicated, huge thing. Actually, when you simplify it, is talking to your customers where they're at. And actually, if you're an independent, showing up at at a market or a local fair is a great way of showing people that you're there. I think as consumers is then going to pick up a leaflet and telling everybody about it. So I really like that, Elizabeth. And I look forward to some mango shrimp on my next trip to South Carolina. Let's hope it's better than the grits I had last time. America, what are you doing with food?
That just means you haven't had good grits, because the same place, Richard, has an awesome shrimp and grits that they put that mango salsa on it. Oh, and the andouille sausage. Like, there is nothing like South Carolina shrimp and grits. Anyway, back to you.
Well, I think a gauntlet's been thrown down there, Mike.
I think it has. And I'm thinking about how important it is. Like, when I have people visit and I take them to my favorite spots, and I'm like, if you don't like this, I am going to be so angry.
Oh, Mike, I had this.
I'm like,
seriously.
it's so much pressure. Like, this is the spot. I've been telling you about this pizza for 2.5 months. You're going to eat it and you're going to like it.
Mike, I was like that last year when Elizabeth and James came over to the UK.
Yeah.
Right. And we went out, we had, I think, 3 or 4 meals together. And I must admit, there was a little bit where it's like crossing the streams. You know, in Ghostbusters, where they say never cross the streams.
Favorite movie of all time. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, first film I ever saw at the cinema. I crossed the streams. I took Elizabeth to like one of my favorite curry restaurants. I'm like, please like each other, otherwise things could go horribly wrong. And you know what Americans like with customer service? You know, they got much higher standards than the Brits. Luckily, we got a brilliant service. I was
Good.
like, either that or Elizabeth's great at covering up how much she disliked the meal, but I think she liked it.
It was amazing. Like, because I have no idea what to order off of an Indian menu. I like know one thing. And so Richard was just like, we'll take one of these and we'll take one of these. We'll take one. And like, he just filled the table with these things. But one thing that he was right. Well, he's right about a lot of things. But one thing I did love about this is
You need to tell my family that.
You did feel like you were stepping into a restaurant in India. Like they had the incense going, they had the music playing, the decor, everything about it said like you were on an expedition in the Indies. And so anyway, it was really cool. So yeah.
Well, let's put some pressure on Laura, because the last time I was in San Diego, I went to the Gas Lamp and had a burger. It was all right. So Laura, over to you. What do you do? What is your favorite independent, and where would you take me for dinner in San Diego? And how do you support independence?
Okay, great to be with you all. I love this topic. I really believe that independent restaurants are a huge part of what make any community great and make the city and the neighborhood that we all live in so special. So imagine if we didn't have independent restaurants that we could bring our friends to when they come visit, or that we could go to, you know, when we're just with our family or on our own. And the pandemic definitely got me thinking about that, as far as like, oh my gosh, what if my favorite restaurants go away and they're not able to weather this storm? And at that time, the only thing I could think of was to buy family meals and just buy as much, you know, food for my family as I could with leftovers, buy gift cards, and thankfully they survived. So, but that was, I never really had to think much about that. Yeah. And backing up, my name is Laura Wilbur. I believe showing up is 80% of success. I'm in the business of showing up for my restaurant clients and bringing friends. And by friends, I mean 21 million expense account diners who are traveling for business, and they're looking for great restaurants for dine-in, carry-out, catering, and private events. So I've been blessed throughout my career to dine at a lot of really incredible restaurants. I have so many I would love to shout out. But your question was, if you come to San Diego, which I hope you will, Richard. I live in North San Diego County, a little surf town called Leucadia, part of Encinitas. So if you know Carlsbad or Del Mar, we're kind of in the middle there. And we have some really great independent restaurants that we can walk to from the house. So one of the newer ones is called Atelier Mana. And I had to look it up to figure out what does that mean. So atelier is a French word that means a artist workshop or studio. And then mana is considered to be a gift from heaven, some sort of divine gift. So this food is absolutely beautifully presented, colorful, it's healthy. I get the Turkish eggs and the mana bowl. And then I get one of their tonic drinks, which is a, non-alcoholic sort of juice type drink. So it's just one of those special places where, and this was something again that kind of got me thinking, is if we as community members don't support these really special, unique type restaurants, and they can't afford to stay in business. This happened with my favorite restaurant in New York City. There's a chef from France. So I've figured out that my favorite cuisine type is French. I just absolutely love it. And even my other restaurant I wanted to talk about, which is Boudin San Francisco, that's been around since 1849. They were founded by
Which
a French,
one, Laura?
Boudin Bakery, the one at
The one with the bread.
Yes.
I've been.
It's so incredible. But that was a French immigrant who started that. and it's been around 175 years, and it's considered to be the longest continuously running business in San Francisco.
Wow.
And so I can't remember where I was going with that, but just the idea of this French restaurant in New York City. It was called Adore, and it was by a French chef, Alain Ducasse. And it closed during the Great Recession in, I think, probably right around 2010. But best meal I've ever had in my entire life, bar none. But it was a time during that financial collapse when it was no longer politically correct to spend lavishly at a restaurant like that. It was, because the corporate expense account is my world, and taking someone out for an incredible meal and having that immersive experience with the flavors and the presentation, it's so much more than just sustenance for food. And so that was another very unique restaurant that I did see go away, and I miss it.
I think that there are a number of things you've said there. First of all, I'm really pleased I've eaten my dinner, because it's 6:30 here in the UK. So I've just eaten. I've got dessert. I can't say pudding with you guys after this. And there's a little bit where Laurie talked about gift cards. Now, I used to work in gift cards, and one of the amazing things about giving a gift card is people will often spend 20% more than the value of the gift card. So when you're giving that gift card, not only are you giving a gift to the person who you're giving the card to, but you're also giving a gift to that independent, because that person will not, they'll spend extra. And I think there's something really, really great about that as an idea of supporting independence. And that place that you were talking about, that juice, just a little bit of vodka in there, I think it'd be quite nice for breakfast, that, Laura. It sounds good.
Yep. So when you come, we'll walk over there from my house, and it's hard to get in. It's only open for breakfast, lunch, brunch, and they don't take reservations. So you have to sign up on the wait list, but absolutely well worth it.
And that sounds like the kitchen story place I was telling you about in San Francisco. And one of the things we talk about, we've mentioned DeNova, who you work for a few times. I think, yes, they support very large organizations, but they also support those independents. And I think it's really interesting when we talk about, okay, how can we support them? Earlier, Elizabeth mentioned tagging them in opportunities. Bruce was talking about offering advice. I think there's something about, if they can get involved in a program like DeNova, I think what's really interesting is it opens them up to new eyeballs. And I think, how can you bring new people to these independents? And, it's sharing things that you discover. And I think that's something that, hopefully people will do for you in DeNova. So I think it's really interesting, your proposition.
Thank you, Richard. And we're adding a fun new independent Italian restaurant that's in Costa Mesa. It's called Il Girasole, which means the sunflower, and it's on Sunflower Street. And really excellent Italian cuisine. The chef is from Italy. And that's another really special thing about independent restaurants, is that you get to meet the chef and owner, and they're usually there, and you get to talk with them about where they're from and if you've been to Italy, and ask them if they've been to some of the same places that you've been to. And that's again part of that community, that sense of community, that you know each other's story, and then you can share that.
Fantastic. Could you put those links in the chat? Because what we're going to do, we're going to share it with the world. That's the plan today. Thank you, Laura. That was fabulous. Doug, good evening, or it looks like afternoon where you are. You've got bright sunshine. Doug, where in the world are you? How do you support independence? And where are you taking me for dinner? What's your favourite local, and what are you going to get me to eat?
Sure. Can you hear me? I'm coming through?
Yeah,
Loud and
good.
clear.
Okay, perfect. All right. I'm sorry, I can't see the screen very well, but I am in San Diego. I'm in Del Mar. I'm an old friend of Sean's from high school, but I am on my way up to Yosemite now, in Orange County, passing
Beautiful.
by one of my old haunts. So I ran real estate for a resort company in Southern California for a little over a decade, and they operated splashes at Surf and Sand in Laguna Beach, which is one of the best restaurants in Southern California. The chef there, Ron, is incredible, and one of the most passionate people I've ever met. And so that would be one of them. I was racking my brain as everybody else was talking here. I think we had some locally. I think Aladdin is one of my favorite go-tos. Kind of in the middle price segment.
Doug, what's good to eat at Aladdin's? What would you suggest to me to eat there?
Oh gosh, I mean, they have some phenomenal variety platters. Where you can just get the shawarma, and kebabs, mezze platters with the tabbouleh and hummus. And I forget what the garlic paste is called, the white stuff that I always eat too much
tahini.
of. Tahini. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, my mouth is wild. I lived in the Middle East for a little while, so I have. There's everywhere I go, there's a couple of those that always call my name. We have an installation in Joshua Tree, and remote areas like that are always a very challenging place to find really spectacular food because you've got supply chain issues, labor issues. There isn't that deep a talent bench out there, but I found a place out there called Yucca Kebab in Yucca Valley, which blew my mind. Among the best Middle Eastern meals I've ever had, and that's having lived in Abu Dhabi and Dubai and traveled all over that region. But it was spectacular. We had a group event there, a celebration meal with the owner of one of the local RV resorts, and posted about it. It was spectacular. But yeah, Aladdin's locally in San Diego, Surf and Sand up in Laguna Beach, and if I could continue breaking the rules and stating too many. We were just visiting.
Sean's not here. We can do what we want, Doug.
All right. All right. Well, I'll call out two more then, and then I'll shut up.
Okay.
We were just visiting Seattle and Vancouver, and we had some great meals in Seattle. But the two that were really memorable. On the way out of town, we had a morning, so we went up to visit Mount Rainier. And as we were coming back from Mount Rainier, in this little village, there's an RV park, and they had a Ukrainian restaurant there. And I don't remember the name of it, but it just said Ukrainian restaurant on the side of it. And I worked in Kiev for a summer years ago, and I said, we have to stop, and everything we got was spectacular. They had pierogies that were to die for. They had borscht, authentic borscht, and they had probably the best piece of salmon I've ever had in my life. It was just perfectly cooked. It was crispy on the outside, the right amount of salt, tender on the inside, not overcooked. Really wonderful piece of fish. And I think it's family run. So that's a great one. That'll be on repeat every time we go up there every year. And then Vidges in Vancouver. I went to visit my old boss, Namit Malhotra, in Vancouver. And 20 years ago, when I worked for Hilton, we went to visit Vancouver. Hilton had just bought Hilton International, and we were assessing the value of some of their assets up there. And he took me to Vidges, which at the time was much smaller. And so when I went up there a week ago or a month ago, I had no idea that they had grown so much. And it is one of the great success stories in Vancouver. Vidges has moved a couple times, and we went to their new restaurant. And he's famous because, it's Indian food, but with, a lot of contemporary twists. And so we had a fried chicken tandoori. I took a video of it. I'm happy to share it if anyone's interested. Spectacular. Poured it right on there in front of the whole table, and yeah, that was wonderful. We had a curried soup, which was spectacular. Anyway, so I'll pause there.
I love, Doug, how you can get in such detail over the dishes and the memory of it, because I am somebody like that will remember meals, foods, and link them to days, and can get so specific about it. And then, like, I won't remember to do anything in the house. Like, totally forgot to do all this stuff. But then I'm like, I can tell you, when I was 17, the dinner I had, and what it was like. It's amazing though what food connects your brain to for these memories. It was amazing.
Yeah. And I've got the name of Doug's book. His autobiography is going to be Around the World in 80 Meals. I think Doug, I've got to be honest, I went to Yosemite Valley. I did struggle for food in there of like a decent, I wish I bought my own, but what a place. And I think there's that little bit where you're right, because food is something where you can eat for fuel, but you can eat for pleasure. And I think what's really interesting is hearing the way that you all talk about your independence. It's not just the food, it's the pleasure of being with them. And when Doug was talking, he was talking about supporting them on social media and sharing those stories. And just sharing the story of that place in Vancouver, we're all thinking about that pakora you're talking about, Doug. You're a bad man. There's going to be a lot of hungry people listening to this. Thank you.
He earned it.
Thank you. And good luck finding good food in the center of Yosemite. Good luck with that. You might have to go hunt something. Go pull out some fish and barbecue it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're doing some consulting for some local hospitality operations up there. So, and my partner, Jeff Mano, is a food consultant and a hound. So I'm sure we will find any potential. We will sniff it out and we will report back to you on where to go next.
Mike, it's been a really good session, this one. I thought we could share 9 tips on how we can support independence, and perfectly timed. And these can be independent restaurants, they could be independent businesses, but these are really simple tips. Engage with them on social media. Share them to your friends and family. Just suggest to your friends and family, you've got to try this place. Give them shout outs on social. If you've eaten somewhere fantastic, share it. Leave a review. Like we've talked about Google so many times in here, Google My Business. And I know there's lots of other places where you can leave reviews. And we think about it from a business perspective, but I'm going to twist it on you all. We're all consumers as well as businesses. Where can we leave positive reviews? Elizabeth's point earlier, tag them in opportunities. If there's a great opportunity for an independent locally, share it. Buy local where possible. And I'm thinking about my lovely restaurant in London. There is a very good chain, 2-minute walk away. I'll always try and go to an independent where possible. Where can you buy local? Purchasing gift cards, great suggestion from Laura. We talked about if you buy somebody a gift card, they'll spend a little bit extra. You benefit both the person you're giving the gift card to and that small business. Sign up for newsletters. How can you keep up to date with independence? We've talked about email marketing here many, many times. Think about it as a consumer. How can we support them? Sign up for their newsletters. So if there's a great Father's Day offer, share it with your community and purchase from their websites. Yes, you can get a DoorDash or Deliveroo from any large restaurant, but there's also independents on there. Can you buy direct from them? Can you buy from an independent? So they're just 9 suggestions on supporting independence. If you've got more suggestions, we're all ears. We're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube. Mike, where else are we? Because come on, we need ideas and suggestions as how we as a community of consumers can help out independence.
Yeah, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. Also have a Slack channel. Bruce, I saw your note, got your email, so I'm going to work internally with the team to get you onto the Slack channel. So all those places tag the group. Everybody's weirdly available with some ideas and concepts beyond the bingo card and beyond what we talked about. So yeah, hit everybody up in those places, Richard. That's a good place to do it and a good start. And I love that point about the gift cards too, because I love getting gift cards for local places. And you're always going above, because it's a great idea for both parties. Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. What's the topic on Friday? And then we'll do some goodbyes.
Topic on Friday, to be determined, aka don't have one yet. But we're, as I had mentioned, about all of those all those places. Hit us up if you have a suggestion, or anybody here wants to host or be a guest with Sean, who will be back on Friday. Don't hesitate. If there's a topic that's on your mind or something you're thinking about, happy to do that. But from there, Richard, we'll do tip, takeaway, homework assignment, go around the room, and have some fun on that front. So with that, we'll start with Bruce. Tip, takeaway, homework assignment from today's combo.
Well, let's see. First of all, I got to give a shout out to my Timberwolves who are hanging on by a thread here, because I heard some banter about basketball before the podcast started. But tips are just find those local restaurants and support them. It's amazing, what ideas they bring to us. In fact, when I was running big restaurants, you know where I got ideas? I went to Independence.
Yeah. Bruce, that's fabulous. Thank you. Elizabeth, tip, takeaway, homework assignment, other than convincing me that grits are a delicacy.
It depends on who's making them. I just have to say that. But yes, I think also is just kind of getting to know, make your world smaller. So one thing I always try to do is ask the name of my server. I know that sounds like like what? And a lot of times, and sometimes,
Elizabeth, it sounds like stalking.
Exactly. But then creating that rapport, and if you come back and ask for the same person, or you because you can make your bigger world a little bit smaller, or just even saying to the manager or whoever, hey, Janice was really helpful today, and that type of stuff, and paying attention to how you can help them when they ask for it. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Back to you,
Elizabeth. That's super. There's a restaurant in a city called Derby where some of my family live. We go to a restaurant there called Seven, and the last couple of times the server's been fantastic, and on the way out I've let the manager know. And what's really interesting about it is they're often very young, and going back to Jason's comment that it's often the first job, how can we give them some support and encouragement? And I really like that suggestion. And it's one of those acts of kindness that builds community. And young people, we all had those first jobs. We all need that little hand up as well as a tip. Elizabeth, one day you have to explain tipping to me. Laura, tip, takeaway, homework suggestion, or tip. You can leave a tip to Mike and I. I'm very grateful.
Love this conversation. Absolutely believe, as I said, that supporting our independent small businesses, not just restaurants, bookstores. I mean, how cool is an independent bookseller in your neighborhood? And so just, whatever we can do to on that note, if you want to buy a book, consider, going to your local independent bookseller instead of doing it on Amazon for convenience. And Doug, for you in Yosemite Valley, are you going to be near the Ahwahnee Hotel?
We will most likely be visiting the Ahwahnee Hotel. We're visiting all the nice hotels up there.
Okay. So that's another interesting thing is sometimes the restaurant at a resort is excellent. I haven't been to the Ahwahnee in a long time, but when I went there last time, the food was excellent. And sometimes the restaurants at a hotel, and this, Doug, from your time at Hilton, sometimes the restaurants are independently operated. They just happen to lease space inside the resort. So you can also find a great meal by an independent chef at a resort in some cases. I think my homework assignment for myself is to go and do a positive review for probably the 3 restaurants that I mentioned on this conversation, which I've never done. And at least, well, probably 2 of the 3, I have a fun picture from me at the restaurant that I could put up with my review, which would make it more personal. So that's my homework assignment.
Oh, Laura, that's amazing. I went to visit a coffee shop a couple of years ago that I'd mentored. Didn't tell them I was coming. Turned up, had lunch there, and it was super. And I left a review on Google for them, and my picture's been viewed 1,000 times. It's something. I mean, Scott's got even bigger stats on some of the ones that he's done, but they were just tickled pink, and they didn't expect the review either, and it was honest, and it just lights these places up. So I think doing that's a really good thing. And the other thing you can do is take me on a little food tour when I come to San Diego.
Okay.
Although this barbecue man's trying to get me to go to his place.
We'll go there too.
Thank you, Laura. Have fun doing those reviews.
Okay.
And that hotel, the Awani, I went there just to visit. I thought I'm going to be the first English person here, and I found a picture of the Queen on the wall. She'd been there before me. It's a nice hotel. I couldn't afford to stay there. I stayed in one of the other ones. It was nice, though. Avoid the bears. Doug, other than avoiding bears, what's your tip, takeaway, homework assignment?
Oh, well, it sounds like I have to redeem the reputation of Yosemite Valley and find something worth posting about up there. So I will. We've got a couple hours.
I mean, it's a pretty place. Like we're not dissing Yosemite. I mean, it is well done, America. You've created a really beautiful national park there. But the food, come on, Doug, find something great. Make Yosemite great again.
I would love it if America's greatest contribution to the culinary reputation of Yosemite wasn't a hot dog. So I will find something for you, and I will report back and post about it.
Go on. Thank you, Doug. I know Elizabeth's coming back at me here.
Oh.
Sorry, the mute button does not like to cooperate when I need it to. Hopefully you can hear me. There is an Instagram account if you search at Subpar Parks. And I'll leave a link on the LinkedIn side of things, but they have they use the people's ridiculous bad reviews of national parks, and they make posters and t-shirts and other stuff from it, like with the Grand Canyon. Somebody was like reviewed it as like it's just a hole in the ground, like but they do this for all the parks. Anyway, you'll have to check it out. Subpar Parks. Have a lot of fun with that one. Anyway, back to you, Richard.
I didn't expect it to go there, Mike.
No, but I want to check it out now. That's a great idea for taking those reviews and doing that. Is brilliant. Really smart idea.
So it sounds like there's I forget what the website is, but there's a website somewhere, a Reddit feed called Movies Summarized Badly, or something. Have you guys heard of this? Mm-hmm. It's like a 1-sentence summary of popular movies. It's hilarious. I can't do justice to try and remember one of these, but like Forrest Gump would be like the guy runs a lot, and
right.
Has bad choice in women or something, and eats a chocolate, but it's it is really funny.
Oh, that's quality. That's quality. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your independent thinking. Thank you for your restaurant recommendations. Mike, I'm really hungry. And luckily, I've got cheesecake in my fridge. And last time I bought cheesecake from an independent in the States, I went to visit my cousin in DC. And I bought this cheesecake from this fabulous Italian independent, probably in DuPont Circle, somewhere like that. And we walked along, and the White House gardens were open. That Barbara Bush opened up a garden and they were doing tours. So I thought, all right, we'll do a tour. My cousin like, oh, come on, don't be a tourist. I'm like, it's the White House. And the Secret Service took away my cheesecake and threw it away. She went, and I was like, lads, why don't you have it for dinner? If I can't have it, why don't you have it? And they're like, sir, because you could have done something to it. I'm like, but it's really nice cheesecake. So don't take cheesecake to the White House. Another top tip from Digital Hospitality. Mike, I'll leave you to close the room.
So you never had the cheesecake then? You didn't get one bite?
No, the Secret Service put it in the bin. I told them they could have it for the dinner, but they didn't trust me.
I bet you left. They took it out and ate it. That's what I'm guessing.
I was gutted. It was beautiful. It was this beautiful
Good story,
Italian, independent, Italian American cheesecake place.
My homework assignment for me, I like what Elizabeth had said about tagging at a restaurant. I think I myself have, tagged some food, but not put any context behind it. So next time we eat out, I'm going to make sure that I do that. And then just take away just seeing everybody smile, talking about the restaurants they love. That's super cool. Just every time you talk about a local independent place, that's near and dear to your heart, you really just see the pride, right, that everybody has in talking about that place. And Bruce, rooting for your Timberwolves. They got the better end of the DiVincenzo Randall trade. So I'll tell you that. But awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But no, great time. Thank you, Richard, for leading us today. Great conversation. We'll be back on Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. London time. Same link. It's in the calendar. And as Bruce, I just added him, we'll add him to the Rising Tides list. If there's somewhere you want to be added to, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, or not YouTube, but on Slack, we can do that and need a topic for Friday. So if there's something anybody is interested in talking about, happy to take it. But with that, Richard, thank you again. And we'll see everybody on Friday. Take care, everybody.